Hi, everybody, or nobody. I don't really know. Um, my name's Roxanne, and you have tuned into the Roxanne World podcast. I should probably tell you the reason why I gave this podcast the worst name in podcast history is not to shoot myself in the foot from day one, but because my grandma, Vera Tudor, who died when I was 9, called me Rock Annie. And until the day he died, um, less than 2 years ago, my dad sometimes called me Rock Annie, or Rock Annie Banana, or Roxana Banana. And so I just called it Rock Annie World. And a lot of you are going to hate this, but I like the Joe Rogan Experience name because he's telling you from the get, this is my world, and we're going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. And I love that because I don't want to talk about one thing. Life is huge, and there's so many things to talk about. And still don't have a guest today, but instead I have a kind of a book review that I am doing on the fly. I haven't prepared for this because I prefer not to prepare for things and just let them kind of organically go wherever the hell they want. The book is, let's see if I can show it to you, Undrowned. Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals. And the author is Alexis Pauline Gumbs. Partway into the book, I looked her up, and she was in Durham, North Carolina. And I'm always surprised that so much amazing stuff comes out of Durham, North Carolina, but it really does. It's on AK Press, which is a worker-owned anarchist small press. So if you want to buy it, get it there. It is worth its weight in gold. I'm just going to read you a little bit about who the author is and what she intends for this book. And also because she does mention who the book is for, Black Feminist Lessons sounds like it could mean it's not for me, but it is, and it is for you as well. So Pauline introduces herself as a queer black feminist love evangelist and a marine mammal apprentice. She's written quite a few books. Revolutionary Mothering, Love on the Front Lines, that's with PM Press, another small press that's similar to AK Press. And with with AK Press, she's published Pleasure Activism, Stay Solid, Dear Sister, Feminism's in Motion, and Octavia's Brood. So you might want to check those out. She also says, who is this book for? And thankfully she says, this book is for you. Also known as everyone who knows that a world where queer, black, feminist folks are living their most abundant, expressed, and loving lives is a world where everyone is free. This woman speaks my language, and I saw it immediately, and I was just over the moon. And for that reason, I refused to read it most of the time, and I took it so slowly because every sentence is so beautifully crafted and so wonderful that I wanted to prolong the experience because it's a little book. It's not a huge book. So I wanted to savor it. Sorry, I'm clearing my throat a lot, but whatever. And so anyway, I am just going to give you a little bit of the goodies out of it, and I think you're going to want to read it. And if you do, please let me know what you think, because I'm so enchanted with this book and with the way this author writes and thinks. She uses different marine mammals to illustrate commonalities between the black experience, her black experience, and I think even though I don't identify the way she does, I get so much out of it, and I can also identify with the animals that she's identifying with. albeit in slightly different ways, but I feel that kinship that she feels and that she writes of. So I'm just going to pull a couple of things out of here to give you an idea of what this book is like, because it's really extraordinary, I think. Not sure where to start. There's so much good stuff in here. So one of her chapters is called Honor Your Boundaries. And it starts like this. A hooded seal gets everything they need to travel the world from only 4 days of nursing. No one knows how the Baikal seal ended up in a freshwater lake, and Amazon dolphins in captivity may be dying from sleep deprivation. What are the boundaries that we choose and do not choose? What are the distances we need, and what are the walls that will isolate and destroy us? How can we discern the differences between generative boundaries and destructive borders? Are we ready to move towards nourishing forms of adaptation? So that's how each chapter starts, with a premise of things. This is what we're going to think about during this chapter, and this chapter is Honor Your Boundaries. So here's something that she says about these Amazon river dolphins. Amazon river dolphins have not done well in captivity. Less than 20% have been able to survive in aquariums worldwide. The record in the United States is even worse. According to the Audubon Society, out of every 70 Amazon River, also known as bow-toed dolphins, captured and housed in U.S. aquariums between 1956 and 1966, only one survived into the mid-80s. What's the problem? First of all, freedom is a basic need and a divine imperative. As former poet laureate Tracy K. Smith said on her daily poetry podcast, The Slowdown, all animals allowed to live free and wild protect something holy in the world. I agree, all animals, including us. She goes on to say that some scientists are thinking that it's sleep deprivation that's killing these animals who are captive. She says, although scientists have not extensively observed or studied the sleep of Amazon river dolphins, some believe that the slope in the riverbank is a resting place that supportively holds Amazon river dolphins while they're sleeping, unlike ocean dolphins who sleep in the middle of the water without the support of the edges of land. Another way to say it is that the sleep deprivation that bow-toed dolphins suffer in captivity is a result of the lack of the boundaries that help them rest well at home. Is a lack of supportive boundaries impacting your sleep? As a daughter of immigrant insomniacs who sleeps with one ear open, I think this question of sleep is crucial. As Black women artists, from Alma Levon Rice Faina to Shelley Davis Roberts to Patrice Kahn Colors to the Nat Ministry, are making abundantly clear rest is resilience and sleep is political. Systemic nightmares threaten our sleep. She also quotes Deidre Jackson of the North Carolina Emergency Strategy Immersion, surrender to your dreams. The end of her chapter, she says, she always ends with kind of a blessing. She says at the end of this short little chapter, what I know is that I love you. Even if you are not interested in being followed, even if you show up in disguises, even if I'm not the one who should know you or name you or classify you at all. She's referencing marine mammals who are scientists call shy because they don't want to be followed around, and so they hide. I celebrate your right to evade and avoid me. I celebrate your journey, however deep, however long. I respect you so much as so much bigger than my own understanding, and me too. I don't have to be available to be eligible for breath, and I don't have to be measurable in a market of memes. I don't have to be visible to be viable on my path. I don't have to be shy to be sacred about my time. There are only two things I have to do, my mom taught me, and I can do them in the company of my choosing. The company of myself, my living, my dead, my folks, my dreams. Number 1, stay black. Number 2, breathe. So I'll read you a few of the names of the chapters because I can't possibly go into all of these. But here's some chapter names. Listen, breathe, remember, practice, collaborate, be vulnerable, be present, be fierce, learn from conflict. So as you can see, the chapters are just so, you just want to get into all of them. And I'm going to read a little bit from the beginning of the chapter called End Capitalism. I hope that's of interest to you. She says, I guess I could have started here. Let me be clear. The actual suffering and endangerment of marine mammals on the planet right now is caused by the extractive, destructive processes and consequences of capitalism. The meditations in this section look at the vaquita and the Atlantic right whale, which are on the brink of extinction because the commercial fishing industry finds it expensive and inconvenient to change their practices. We look at the fate of the striped dolphin and Greece's attempt to save its economy by allowing dangerous oil drilling in their habitat. We ponder the strange state of the world where impoverished individual fishers actually kill marine mammals because they perceive them as threatening competition in a fishing market where they already can't compete. These are all examples of what capitalism means on an interspecies scale. At the same time, this section uplifts a former lobsterman who risked, I lisp with this appliance in my mouth. This section uplifts a former lobsterman who risked and gave his life as part of a crew of people who untangle right whales from deadly nets. For someone like me, an animal advocate, it's kind of ironic that someone who kills animals for a living saves animals and died doing that. He's still a hero for helping to save an animal, and I'm sorry that he died doing that. But there's some speciesism there that we often talk about. But we thank him for doing what he did for this whale. And an indigenous-owned fishing company that is actively fighting against the extinction of the New Zealand white front dolphin as hope and instruction towards moving into right relationship with the planet and each other by ending capitalism as soon as possible. I wonder if we could outgrow rope, braided with blood, a tangled legacy. Could we at this point evolve past nets of capture, the intersecting technology of getting and keeping? I'm asking for a friend, vaquita, who EcoWatch says is days away from extinction, all because of the pervasive use of gill nets where she lives. And I'm asking for the North Atlantic right whale, also very close to extinction, whose major cause of death is getting caught in ropes used by large fishing vessels in her range, or being stabbed by their propellers. She ends this section by saying, if we don't do it, if we don't end capitalism this week, it is because we are entangled, a reality that will continue to wound us after the vaquita and the North Atlantic right whale disappear off the face of the earth. So you don't have to save the whales, but at least take a look at the ropes. Acknowledge what has already been severed, the costs of this system as usual, At least take a moment to imagine how you would move if we weren't all caught up in this. Could we do that? I'm asking for myself. And if you can at all feel these last two sentences, then maybe it's not impossible. I love you. You deserve to be free. She ends every chapter like that. She talks about so many marine mammals and gives little facts about them. And each animal has different ways of coping with life and different ways of doing things. And she takes a lesson from each of them, or more lessons. And she also uses what she sees in them to see herself and Black people in that animal and extract something from that bond. It's not just comparison, it's a bond. She says, I often think about the consequences of colonialism within a threatened group, the cost of losing almost everything, the impact of military normalcy, the multiple violences we endure. What if the path to conservation of any species remaining on the planet is demilitarization? What is the solidarity, evolutionary sistering, ancestral imperative called for in this moment where U.S. colonial territories are in active refusal? What does it look like to be intolerant of colonialism? What life would spring up, what recovery is possible if the colonial force actually shuts down? I'm asking for a sister of mine, wherever she is now. 3 million years ago, she taught me something about us. I haven't forgotten. We deserve to be free. Know that I love you in a world that would turn your blood into candy, criminalize your flexibility, oversimplify your claim to your own life. Know that for me, your blood is a scripture. I want it to stay in your veins. I am saying your name. We are not breathing in vain. So, this book, Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons for Marine Mammals, Alexis Pauline Gumbs, available through AK Press, which is a great, just go on their site, order a couple little books. You won't be disappointed, and you'll be supporting a great press, anarchist worker-owned press, and you'll be discovering a truly amazing author and thinker, or maybe you've already read some of her work and are already on board. But whichever, I have to say that I love this book. I have, it's all, I have it all jammed up with underlining and notes and tabs and everything, and that's a sign of a well-loved book for me. So I love this book, and I highly recommend it. Also need a hairdresser if anybody wants to come over and do my hair. But anyway, that's what I have to say about Undrowned today. I hope that this was worth your time. Thank you for coming by.